All right, we are live. Welcome in day 3 of March Madness. I would say the intensity, the action, the madness picked up a little bit. We're getting closer. I would say we're on a 4 out of 10, probably.
It was better basketball today.
Definitely better basketball. Better games, more interesting games, and we got our first taste of some shit getting shaken up a little bit. Arkansas takes down St. John's with our first top 4 seed, really goes down was St. John's. The 1 through 4 seeds that had a perfect first round. Arkansas knocks off St. John's. That's the big story of the day. We're going to talk about that. Auburn gets tested a little bit, just a little bit. Houston certainly gets tested by Gonzaga. That game, Gonzaga would not go away, and they gave Houston all they could handle down the stretch and made it very interesting. Wisconsin, BYU was awesome. Michigan comes back from down 10 to beat Texas A&M. Tennessee beats UCLA. What other? I might as well hit them all.
Just go through the box.
Purdue, McNeese. It was a fun day. It was a fun day of basketball. It wasn't quite, like an all-timer, I wouldn't say, but we're getting closer, and you're starting to feel the basketball pick up a little bit, and we're very excited about it. We're going to talk about it all. First, I want to talk about Game Time. The best part of college basketball is here, and we know you're as excited as we are to watch some big upsets throughout the tournament. While we're streaming in the cave, you can get out and see the action in person with Game Time, the official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the app actually go down the closer it gets to showtime. Plus, the Game Time Picks feature makes it even easier to find the great deals on the seats you want. You can even find last-minute tickets for the tournament for up to 60% off quickly and easily. Just pull up your chosen event and turn on the GT Picks setting at the top of the screen, or browse the best local Game Time Picks deal near you on the Game Time app homepage. They got great curated deals for all tiers of tickets, and you're getting the top option when you see the super deal icon. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Titus for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Titus, T-I-T-U-S, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game Time. All right. I think the first 2 days I asked you, Tate, for what the story of the day was. I think today I don't need to ask you. I think it's pretty obvious what the story of the day was. And I felt this was the story of the day 1. It is these Arkansas Razorbacks. I felt like in day 1 of the tournament, the story was that Arkansas knocked off Kansas, which wasn't a stunner. Kansas had a lot of problems throughout the season, and we covered that extensively after night 1. I would say the story today was, once again, these Arkansas Razorbacks will not go away. They beat St. John's in a completely disgusting game, yet somehow I found myself just totally locked in and fascinated by every possession, even though the teams combined to shoot 4 for 40, 4 for 41, I think, from the three-point line. Just abysmal shooting.
2 of 19 and 2 of 22.
4 for 41, a combined 4 for 41. That's from the 3-point line.
Out of St.
We should do an after dark stream where we get 41 shots and we have to make 4 threes.
we have a whole basketball game to do.
Abysmal shooting. St. John's, for me, the story was there's a lot of stories, but I would say it's easy to point to St. John's 3-point shooting and be like, see, I knew I was going to burn them at some point in the tournament, which I think a lot of people were, myself included. I if you watch the bracket show, I obviously picked St. John's to go to the national championship, and I doubted it every single time I wrote St. John's on the paper. I was like, the shooting, the offense, but I don't know. And then I eventually would just be like, but I said it in the preseason, and I love Rick Pitino, so I'm just going to ride with it and trust that the defense is going to make it work. Everybody that doubted St. John's did so for good reason, that their offense was not going to be enough to get them over the hump. But I don't think the story of this game was their three-point shooting. I actually think, and I felt this throughout the year, that St. John's three-point shooting was a problem, yes, but it also was a problem that they were very aware of. Mm-hmm. They baked that problem into their offense. Like they understood, like, we're going to miss these threes. So with that, let's crash the boards. Let's try to get like some putbacks, some extra possessions. Also, they push in transition, and they try to get steals and get out and get some breakaway layups that way. Like, it was something that it's a far bigger deal when you have a team like, a bad example because Illinois looked good, against Xavier and are favored against Kentucky, but like an Illinois team that shoots a bunch of threes, and there'll be nights where Illinois is cold and you're like, why are you doing this? This is fucking stupid. St. John's never really felt that with the three-point shooting. And even today, as they're bricking everything, I didn't think the problem was the three-point shooting, Tate. I thought the problem was the finishing at the rim. Mm-hmm. That's what stood out to me as like, this is unusual for St. John's. And I think the issue, and in fact I know the issue, was that Arkansas's length and athleticism was otherworldly. It was of a caliber that St. John's frankly had not seen all season. And you know, was the Big East not as good as the SEC? Yes, but more importantly, the Big East was not as long and athletic. Never mind the SEC, just this specific Arkansas team that St. John's was going up against. And I think that was the story of the game. And going in, I thought the matchup would favor St. John's because I thought this would feel like, I think the analogy I used was the Akron-Arizona game, where it's like two teams that are trying to do the same thing except one team's just better at it. And I felt like the matchup would favor St. John's because they're just more comfortable playing in a frenetic, chaotic, brickfest battle of athleticism and length and all that sort of thing. I underestimated Arkansas, and I guess I shouldn't have. I guess I should have realized that, you look at up and down Arkansas's roster, and their best player wasn't even playing, by the way. Thiero was still not even out there for him. I should have seen this coming, I guess, in some way. I was just too enamored by the story of Rick Pitino. But yeah, John Calipari kind of owns Rick Pitino. He's 9-2 since 2010, and I'm a big Pitino guy. I'm not a big Calipari guy, and I gotta just tip my cap and say, sometimes the data is you can't really argue against it. Sometimes you just gotta be like, that's the way it is, man.
I mean,
kind of owns them.
The people that watched St. John's for maybe the first or second time today are gonna come away saying they shot 9% from the 3-point line, which is fair. They're 340th in 3-point.
That's not good. It's obviously
right.
It's not like Rick Pitino was fine with that. Like they want to make obviously more than that. But
today, things that they had done all year to make up for that 3-point shooting. Like, for example, they still offensive rebound. They had 28 offensive rebounds today. When you have 30 offensive rebounds in a game, you're supposed to win.
Yeah.
The problem is, so they earned those shots. They outshot Arkansas by 12. They're earning these extra shots. The problem is they were 21 of 75 from the floor. I'm not talking about the 3-pointers. I'm talking about the inside, the length, the layups. They're missing those. And the other thing that St. John's likes to do is they like to speed you up and they like to press you. Single-digit turnovers for Arkansas. Arkansas handled the ball very well, which I think we have said all along. 3-point shooting is always going to come into play when they lose, and then we're going to point to it. But who can handle the ball? Arkansas did it today. 9 turnovers only against St. John's.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I think the stat I saw was St. John's was 8 for 25 with layups in this game.
That's a bad.
And yes, absolutely, Arkansas's length was part of that. Arkansas, Jonas Adu and Big Z being rim protectors for Arkansas made a difference on a lot of these layups. And it was a situation where R.J. Lewis would get to the rim, and he's used to just elevating up over his defender and laying it in, and all of a sudden the shot's a little more challenged. No question about that. But there were also a lot of open ones that they were just blowing. A lot of very easy ones that they were blowing, and that was crazy to me. So with that in mind, I want to pivot to the R.J. Lewis discussion because I think that's obviously the big macro is that John Calipari, a guy who we can talk about Cal after this. I want to talk about RJ Lewis. But the big macro is St. John's goes down. We have a 2 seed go down in a tournament where it feels very top heavy. It feels very chalky. I said going in that I would be stunned. I remain feeling this way. I will be stunned if a 1 or a 2 does not win this tournament. No disrespect to the rest of the teams. It just feels like those teams distance themselves from the pack. And of that group of 8, 1 has fallen. So that's a big story. That's big news. Even though it wasn't one of the real Goliaths, the Dukes, the Auburns, one of the 1 seeds the Floridas that we all really think have the best shot at winning this, it's still notable that a 2 seed goes down. But I think the micro discussion that I could honestly talk about for hours, but I want to get the hell out of here and go to bed and wake up tomorrow and watch some more basketball. RJ Lewis being benched down the stretch in this game, and Rick Pitino seemingly not regretting this at all, doubling down in the post-game press conference. He didn't really expand on it. It was just why he was benched, and he said it so matter-of-factly that the idea of questioning his decision is stupid, and yet I think everybody watching was questioning it, not to say that he's wrong. It wasn't, or maybe some people were. I wasn't you're definitively wrong for this, but it was obviously a thing. It was obviously this is interesting. This is going on, and you're not putting your Big East player of the year into the game, and you're within a possession or two. This has now become a thing, and the more time peels off the clock, Oh, so you're just not going to play him at all under any circumstance. Now you need a 3, and yeah, you don't have a ton of 3-point shooters, but he's one of your better options. You're still not putting him in. I thought it was a crazy move, to be completely honest, and yet like I sort of understood where he was coming from, because R.J. Lewis looked. It wasn't just like he wasn't hitting shots. He did look just completely out of it. He looked like he was seeing ghosts. It looked like, the athleticism of Arkansas had him rattled, and that was from the jump, man. He was like 0 for his first, 9, 8, something like that from the field. Maybe it wasn't that much, but it was at least 6, I remember. He was 0 for 6 at one point. And again, it's not like he's shooting step-back, one-legged, fadeaway threes. He was getting to the rim. He's getting to the rim. He just couldn't finish, couldn't do anything, couldn't be productive in any way. And ultimately, Rick Pitino was like, you're a liability out there, and takes him out.
It's interesting because yesterday the 2 seed that struggled was Alabama, and we talked about how towards the end, they're in crunch time. They need to win. They sub in Grant Nelson because it's like, hey, we're about to lose this season. If you think about it, not only was R.J. Lewis sat for the last 5 minutes of the game, Kadary Richmond also fouled out with 6 minutes to go.
Played 16 minutes in this game.
16 minutes.
Simeon Wilcher played 15 minutes in this game.
So down the stretch, St. John's, Rick Pitino, I mean, they're 31-4. They're Big East champions. They're Big East Conference champions. They're down 2 of their best players down the stretch. Bad day for St. John's.
Bad day for St. John's. So this was the nightmare scenario for them, obviously, and it wasn't something that was shocking with like how it developed, except for the fact I think the layup part was shocking. I think like this was a team that's very comfortable like getting to the rim and finishing through contact and all that sort of thing, and they just couldn't figure it out. They couldn't. They started out slow. It was following the same formula that we've seen from St. John's over and over and over this season. And when it came time to just get over the hump, they just couldn't do it, man. And credit to Arkansas for bringing the physicality and embracing. It's not the hardest thing in the world, because Arkansas is sucks at shooting threes too. And Arkansas's like biggest thing is like the thing working in their favor is exactly what's working in St. John's favor, which is just just to keep spamming these 2 words, length and athleticism. That's like what Arkansas is very good at. But this is a game that going in, like I said, like I felt like this type of game would favor St. John's, and Arkansas played a game on St. John's terms, even though they were pretty comfortable with it. And they won, and they didn't play particularly well, I didn't think. They shot 2 for 19 from the 3-point line.
What?
But like you said, they took care of the ball. They played great defense themselves, and in the end, they get the win. And Arkansas is moving on. John Calipari, a coach. I guess I want to pivot to that. I could talk about this game all day. Is there something you wanted to say?
I was just going to ask you real quick. What is your gut reaction on what like the long-term feeling about this St. John's season is?
Oh, like was it a success?
Yeah,
or was it
like right now? What do you think is going to be the Big East champions, both regular season and conference?
They ripped through the Big East.
But without question, the most. In a chalk tournament, the most embarrassing loss.
Most embarrassing loss, yeah.
Early exit.
It's a successful season. It is. It's a disappointing end, but it is a successful season. You win your first Big East title since 1985. You win the Big East tournament. You rip through the conference. You get the whole country to pay attention, which shouldn't matter, and it's not something that you can really like put on a banner that like Spike Lee was coming to our games, but it does matter in the sense of the feeling of what this moment in St. John's basketball is. Now, they have to build on this. I think if next year St. John's misses the tournament, all this is sort of for naught, and it just becomes like a little bullet point of a trivia thing. Like, remember that one time when Rick Pitino had that one team at St. John's and they won the Big East? That was crazy. Like, that's all it really gets reduced down to. But if moving forward Pitino can build on this, and he doesn't have to win the Big East next year or anything like that, but yeah, it's a disappointing end. I think you need more success. You need sustained success, which is a problem in the sense that Rick Pitino is kind of old. I don't think you need like a decade of success, but I think like these next 3 to 5 years, you make the tournament every year. You're in the top 2 or 3 of the Big East standings every year. Maybe you win a couple. Maybe you win another Big East tournament. Maybe you make a sweet. Like you get that. You look back on this season as like the moment where St. John's was pushed into that next phase of what they are, and yeah, I think it's a successful season in a vacuum. I think winning 31 games in the Big East, I don't know how you can argue that's not a successful season. I know most people, most casual fans especially, only care about March. That's all that matters. They'll tell you that a team could sneak into the tournament. Like a team like North Carolina, say if North Carolina made the Sweet 16, they would look back on that and be like, hell of a year for North Carolina, when we all saw with their own two eyes it wasn't. They were bad all season. So I don't necessarily, as a guy that does, and you're the same way, as a guy that watches it all year, I don't think it undoes what we saw from St. John's this year. But obviously, terrible taste in your mouth, very, very embarrassing way to go out, and to go out with your best player on the bench is just crazy.
So on the flip side of that, then to transfer into Calipari, has what Arkansas has done in the postseason flipped the taste in your mouth of? Because if you think about it, Arkansas has done two things this year of note. Probably the two biggest things he could do: go to Rupp and beat Kentucky.
That's right.
And now he has pulled off the biggest upset of the tournament, and my man is getting ready for the Sweet 16. Aside from that, they were under 500 in the SEC, very underwhelming, snuck into the tournament.
Lost 5 straight, started 0-5 in the SEC.
But what are you going to remember about Cal's first year?
Right. You're going to remember he beat Kentucky in Rupp Arena, and he made the Sweet 16 by knocking off St. John's and Kansas both, beating Rick Pitino and Bill Self. Yeah, I'm someone that thinks John Calipari's best days are behind him. I think he's washed. I think, the idea of taking a John Calipari team seriously as a national title contender is a fool's errand. I still believe that, even this Arkansas team. Like, I don't, it is going to be interesting. Like, after tomorrow, especially, the Sweet 16 will be set, and we'll get some time to take a deep breath. And every one of the 16 teams remaining will be like, I think we have the goods to go all the way. And you don't. There's only still like a handful that do. But so I'm not getting carried away saying like Arkansas is, oh my God, did we underestimate this Arkansas team? I don't think we did. I think they are playing well, and they deserve credit for salvaging what you like you said, a sub 500 season in SEC play. They started 0-5. They had some decent wins, when beating Missouri. They beat Kentucky's the big one. Texas, they beat them a couple times. They beat Vandy. They beat a lot of tournament teams. But I think this is unquestionably a successful season for John Calipari, especially given the context of how he left Kentucky. And he left on his own accord, but it wasn't really on his own accord. He was kind of pushed out a little bit. It's fascinating, if nothing else. It's absolutely fascinating. And Texas Tech is a team that I think is very good. I'm very, very high on Texas Tech. I think their shooting is unbelievable. I think JT Toppin's one of the best players in the country, and I think Texas Tech will be favored in that game. And what's the line? What's the line now? Texas Tech will be favored. I expect Texas Tech to win, but obviously Arkansas could beat them. And then at that point, once you're in the Elite Eight, anything goes. And even if they get blown out by Florida, who gives a fuck? Like, making the Elite Eight as a 10 seed is crazy. So. Yeah, I think if Arkansas plays Texas Tech, what is it?
6-point line, yep.
Arkansas plays Texas Tech, loses by 15. I still think this was a successful year for Calipari, but it does nothing to make me pause and be like, oh shit, is John Calipari gonna like make something happen here at Arkansas? We're like, next year we're going to be looking at Arkansas in the preseason and think that they're a top 5 team, or no, I don't think so. I think I'm done buying the John Calipari hype.
Okay.
Year to year. Having said all that, you have to tip your cap. You have to tip your cap and just say this is awesome. And I'm sure it feels unbelievable. They cut to his wife and his daughter bawling their eyes out as this game is winding down. It's an incredible story for him, and it's been an up and down season with 2 huge bullet points that you can hang your hat on. So
I would say not only is it officially a success, I would also say today's victory for Arkansas officially puts the spotlight on Mark Pope tomorrow around 4:15.
Bunch of pressure.
Because
they're dogs too.
All crazy, but that's Big Ten, baby. All year it has been Mark Pope is outperforming, John Calipari is underperforming, and then Calipari beats Pope.
I know.
But then Kentucky gets the 3 seed. Arkansas sneaks in. Tomorrow is a big day. If Calipari goes farther than this 3-seeded Kentucky team,
it's tough.
There's a winner and there's a loser.
Yeah,
I'm not sure many things can happen.
It is, but it's also a winner and loser right now. And I think like you still have to. It's hard to say because it's like the emotions are built up in March, and that's what this event does. But like, in 5 years from now.
The one thing that I
can't overreact to one season.
You can't overreact to it, but I know that you're always a big proponent of since Carolina, ruined Coach K. Now Carolina, and it's like, okay, what can Kentucky do aside from legit like Final Four type runs to erase this first feeling?
Right. No.
If they're both
okay, to be clear, on a scale of 1 to North Carolina ending Coach K's career in New Orleans, this is like a 3. Like John Calipari having success and beating them Rupp Arena is like a 3.
Totally.
But I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, it's not just him going there in the first game and beating them in that manner, and then him also, if in fact Kentucky loses tomorrow, him also going further in the first tournament when Kentucky's a 3 and he's a 10. That does count as more than just like one win. I will agree with that. I'm just saying that, like, you know, use some context that like Kentucky was banged up all season, and this is a long play. This is a lot. Who knows what next year looks like? But yeah, unquestionably, if you're counting up the score at the end of this season,
tomorrow's a big day.
If you're counting up the score at the end of this season, it is a unanimous W. If this is a boxing match and all the judges have to grade round 1. It is unanimous that John Calipari will win if Kentucky does not win tomorrow. I will give you that. I want to talk about Wisconsin and Gonzaga coming back. The BYU-Wisconsin game, the Gonzaga-Houston game, kind of going on at the same time. Thank you, NCAA, for having 2 standalone games, having a massive break in between them, just so you can throw a bunch of fucking games together at once and make it impossible to watch them. I don't know why they do this every yeyear. It drives me crazy every year. It's going to drive me crazy tomorrow. Then I'll forget about it, and then I'll wait until next year, and then I'll get fired up about it next year. But it was insane. Like the Wisconsin BYU game and the Houston Gonzaga game are both happening at the exact same time. They both kind of end sort of at the same time. Very, very annoying. This BYU team is awesome, man. Their offense is unreal. Richie Saunders was on one tonight, just making everything they were throwing up. They were making. I was looking at the box score because I wanted to.
They were 12 of 26 from 3. 15 of 16 from the line, and shot 50% from the field.
They had 7 dudes score 7 points or more, which, you know, is an arbitrary cutoff, I guess, but also, like, it's just crazy, like, how balanced they are. They 4 guys in double figures. Saunders had 25. Like you said, they hit 12. They were 12 for 26 from 3. It was just as fun of a game as I wanted it to be. Meanwhile, on the other side, Gonzaga, Houston. Houston looked like very, very good for most of this game. What a choke job that would have been. But I want to focus specifically on the last-second shots because 2 just wet farts of final possessions for both of them.
I would say I can just sense from sitting next to you for 36 hours now, the one thing you are craving is you just want a hey, final possession. Someone runs a set to get a shot. I don't even care if it goes in or misses, but we haven't seen that opportunity, and both of these teams got that opportunity.
Yeah.
Tanji didn't hit rim.
Tanji
didn't hit rim, and Titus, at least Tanji got a shot up. Gonzaga
didn't even get a shot up. That was brutal. So the Tanji thing, he was insane tonight. 37. Did he have 37?
Yeah, he did.
Finished with 37 points. Now he's a little bit of a foul baiter, we'll call it. He draws fouls. He's a great free throw shooter. He's 6th in the country in free throw shooting, so you know it makes sense for him to get to the line. I would have liked to see a 3 on that last shot. I would have liked to see him go for the win. It made no sense how they clawed their way back into this game. Mm-hmm. I felt like we don't need to spend a lot of time talking about this. I felt like the flagrant 2, the guy getting ejected, was insane. I felt like it was insane. I'm getting real fucking sick of these refs coming. I'm getting sick of Gene Sterator's fucking face in my screen. Like, Gene Sterator seems like a nice guy. He's a handsome fella, if nothing else. But I'm getting real sick of like all these guys explaining the rules and saying by the letter of the law, this is this and this. And I want someone to just be like, fuck the law. I want someone to like come on TV and just be like, the law's stupid. This is dumb. You shouldn't. Because I honestly, and I know there are a lot of people watching that are going to disagree with me and be like, what are you talking about? He elbowed him right in the dick. I didn't like to get ejected for that was insane. He didn't like wind up and hit him in the. He was very obviously trapped. He's trying to like get out of the trap, and he hit him in the wrong spot. And I think it's stupid. I think this is stupid too. I think it's stupid that if he hit him in the upper thigh, if he would have hit him like right here instead of right here, I don't think he gets ejected. And it was in his dick, so like somehow he gets punished for it. Anyway, I thought that call was crazy. I'm sorry. I'm on a roll here, and I'm sick of like the rules officials or the commentators or whoever else just being like, listen, it's tough that we have to eject him.
That's the worst part of it, Titus.
It's tough, but we have to. Oh my God, we have to. And the ref comes on and he's like, Did you hear the?
Yes,
I don't. It was a hot mic. I don't even know.
So
if
it was a hot mic behind, because when the referee goes over, he speaks into the mic and everyone can hear it. But off to the side, you hear him explaining, damn near reading the rule book. And he says, "Our options here are either nothing or a flagrant 2 ejection.
Yeah.
There's no in between." How is there no in between on what is clearly? I mean, Titus, you grew up playing basketball. What do they teach you? You get the ball, you have your space, you clear out your space.
Kind of clear space. It's not even a dirty play. It's not even a dirty move. It's like just kind of clear out, like lean into the guy.
And what do they teach you?
Space.
You have your space, and you're telling me if you hit him here, it's a foul on him. You hit him here, you're ejected.
You're ejected.
That's exactly what happened. A lot of people were saying it's because, BYU's a Mormon school, and they're saying inappropriate touching.
Oh, inappropriate touching.
That was a Mormon flagrant.
Yeah. It could be. Yeah, I want someone. I need like a rules analyst that's more like me and less like Gene Steratore. That's just like, guys, like we bring in our rules analyst Mark Titus to break down
from
this
the
play.
couch in Chicago.
From the couch in Chicago, Mark, what are you seeing here? I'm like, guys, no doubt, hit him in the balls, no question. We all see it,
and it sucks. That hurts.
But come on, we can't toss this guy for this, right? Like, I think the Wisconsin guy's all right. I think everything's all right. Let's just play on. Let's just play on. And the rule book says this. Fuck the rule book. Let's just play on. Back to you guys.
I actually love this rule. But
instead, you get like these guys that are like, oh, I hate this call. I hate it, but they got to make it. It's a call they have to make, and I just want someone to rise up and just be like, we don't have to make this call. Anyway, it doesn't matter that much. The guy did elbow him in the balls, and when you slow it down, it looks so much worse because you just like the slow motion. All these slow motions look so much worse where the guy's like going to hit, and you can see like his eyes looking at him, and then you got like Big Cat sitting on the couch like he's following through. He goes all the way through the nuts. He's trying to wipe out his whole lineage.
What's worse for you, Titus? Because there's
it's
multiple.
Like he wasn't. He just kind of was clearing space and hit him in the balls. It happens from time to time. Honestly, not to be the back in my day guy, but back in my day, I don't even know if that was a foul, like a common foul. I think
foul on the other guy.
Might even been a foul on the other guy. Get your balls out of my elbow.
I'm not sure which slowdown.
Get your balls off my elbow, bro.
Elbow, bro.
Well, I'm not sure. I hate the slowdown right now. It seems like there's been a little bit less, but it picked up at the end. I'm not sure if I hate the slowdown worse of the elbow and then you see, like, did he hit him? But I also, there's nothing worse than a ball and then whose finger did it touch last? Did
Drives
it
me
change
crazy.
trajectory? How about the one, was it this game? BYU inbounded it and it went out of bounds and everyone, it was clear as day. It was supposed to be Wisconsin's ball right here, and it took us about 4 minutes to figure out.
We had to review,
just to see if the ball changed trajectory.
It's like, I don't know. I could rant about replays for the rest of my life, and I probably will. I think that's what I have in store for me for the rest of my life is just getting older and ranting about replay. But having said all that, the reason I contextualize all this is I felt like Wisconsin was, given a gift both by BYU turning the ball over, but also like getting free throws out of the flagrant foul there. I know Wisconsin got dicked on the bench technical, so maybe it all came out in the wash, but the context of all of this was that you're getting a little bit of a March miracle to get back into this game, right? And now all of a sudden you get the rebound, you're down 2 with 13 seconds left. For me, with if this is St. John's, it's a different story. St. John's is a team that can't shoot threes. This is Wisconsin. This is a team that shoots and makes a ton of threes. And given the context of you getting back into this game, and given how well John Tanji was playing, hindsight's 20/20. I know that Tanji is great at drawing fouls. I know he's great at getting to the rim. I would have liked him to just pull up and shoot a 3 for the win. And maybe that's because I'm starved for that March moment of just like he hits that, and in my head it's just like what a fucking shot, what a moment. We're all losing our mind. But you run the risk of what happened, where you it's easy to say put your head down and get to the rim. That's not how basketball works. You can't just put your head down and get to the rim. There's defense in the way. He picks up his dribble. He's stuck. He's got nowhere to go. He throws up an air ball, and it sucks because I do think Tanji gets a good, clean look. The idea of Tanji getting a clean look from 3, even if it was like 30 feet away, I like that a lot more than what they got. And I understand hindsight's 20/20, but I felt that in the moment. I was like, I want a 3 here. Go for the win. Go for the win.
Hindsight's 20/20 also. I don't know. Just devil's advocate. If he comes out and they don't run any sort of action and he launches a 3 and he misses, starting off SportsCenter tomorrow with
people are like, why didn't
Smith yelling, get to the hoop.
Why didn't he get to the hoop? But I think the basketball viewing public has to get more comfortable with guys, quote unquote, settling for 3s in those situations, because a wide open three, or never mind a wide open three, like a three where you have a little bit of separation. I'm bringing the ball up and I'm dribbling at you and I just stop and pop and you're backpedaling. This is a shot that I've practiced 1,000 times as a basketball player. And in that situation, you're eliminating all other – you're basically eliminating the defense. It's just you and the ball in the basket, and that's really all it is. And I think a lot of players are going to get more comfortable doing that, and I think people have to get more comfortable seeing their team do that in final situations, because when you put your head down and try to drive to the bucket and make something happen – You're inviting great defensive plays. You're inviting the ref swallowing their whistle. You're inviting, your guy having to take a tough shot through contact in certain ways. And, yeah, for thousands and thousands of years that we've played basketball and watched basketball, we're accustomed to seeing that. But that's because the alternative was like your guy shooting a three from pretty deep. But now in modern basketball, these guys are practicing those shots. And I think that – I don't know. I think like I go back to the Maryland shot when Maryland lost to Michigan State on the half quarter, and I forget who it was. It was Jacoby Gillespie maybe. I don't remember who it was on Maryland. Shoots the quick three. Maryland, has like the run out, and they just shoot the quick three for what they thought was the win. They miss. Michigan State gets the rebound through, and everyone's like, "Why would you shoot that shot? Like, get to the rim." And I understand why you would shoot that shot, because that's a shot that's just like you remove all risk or you remove all other variables. It's just you. The bucket, the ball you have in your hands, just make this shot, and you don't have to. The defense has no answer for it. So, anyway, I'm getting to a point where I think if John Tonji just pulls that shot, I have to start getting comfortable with being like, hey man, that's a good look from a guy who can make that shot, and it would have been for the win, and I would have been fine with it. So there's that. The other side, the other thing I think, talking about people practicing things and whatever, teams got to start practicing plays for when you're down 3 and the other team may or may not want to foul, and you're not sure if we need to get a shot up quick or what we're doing here. Because Gonzaga botched that. That was really stinky.
It's a great point. It's all weekend there's probably been 4 instances now where it's like, hey, they're probably going to foul here, and then they elect not to, and it just looks like it's panic and frenzy because, hey, you guys are supposed to be fouling us right now. Well, these teams don't know what they're supposed to do. Gonzaga didn't get a shot off.
They didn't even get a shot off. Shout out, kudos. I don't know, or maybe I would criticize it if it was a different coach. I don't even know what the word would be, but it's hilarious, I guess, to me that Kelvin Sampson. I don't think he was fouling. I don't think Houston was trying to foul.
Am I missing something?
Because I think Kelvin Sampson's attitude is like, we play fucking defense here. We're just gonna get a stop. I think that's his attitude. And it worked for him.
That's interesting in its own right,
hilarious.
Mark, because I'll tell you what, Houston looked dominant, in my opinion, at the beginning of the game, held Gonzaga to 27 points in the first half. I did not have giving up 50 in the second half on my bingo card.
I know. That was
survive in advance,
almost,
but what
that was
do that.
That was almost an all-time meltdown. Gonzaga just doesn't quit. 9 straight Sweet 16s. That streak has been snapped, obviously. But now Houston started their own, or they've continued, I guess, their own streak of. Now they've gone to 6 straight Sweet 16s. So the game wasn't probably as good for the 40 minutes that we expected it to be, but the end result gave us what we expected, which was a Gonzaga-Houston game coming down to the final couple possessions. Couple more things I want to talk about, but first I want to talk about Venmo. We got Venmo with us all throughout March. We're fired up about this. Sign up for the Venmo debit card in seconds and add your card instantly to Apple Pay or Google Pay to use the balance right away with no monthly fee and no minimum balance requirement. Earn up to 5% cash back at top brands when you shop with the Venmo debit card. Whether you're splitting the bar tab or snacks for the watch party at home, use Venmo debit card for the game day assist. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by Bancorp Bank in a pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. DOSH offer terms apply. Start spending your Venmo balance instantly with the Venmo debit card. Sign up today at venmo.com/card/apply. A couple other things I want to talk about before we get to the main event of the show, which for those of you who were not watching the live stream and not paying attention to the behind the scenes of the Mark Titus Show today, we have a special treat in store for you tonight. Cody, our very own Cody, our special boy, is going to be doing 10 roast jokes about McNeese.
And they are
up to
good.
10.
Up to 10?
Possibly less.
And have you heard them yet?
I've not heard them yet. I'm excited to hear them.
Good.
They're good. They're bangers.
Yes.
I was told bangers. I was told bangers. Cody was texting me during the first half of the McNeese Purdue game, and he was like, "Get this trash team. get this. What would you say? This fat fucking dipshit manager? Is that the word you use?
No.
What'd you call it? What you said? You said no. I'm joking. I'm trying to make
Mark
Cody. I'm trying to make Cody uncomfortable. But as McNeese is getting blown out in the first half, Cody was texting me, and then I was like, honestly, dude, save it for the show. Save some jokes for the show, right? You know this tape, but I don't know how much of our audience does that Cody loves.
Just like quick,
the
quirky
quick one-liners,
He's very good at them.
Little roast jokes. So I was like, hey, save it for the show. Why don't you just roast McNeese on the show? Because it was a standalone game. We were excited. Day 3 of March Madness, we were like, we need some madness today. We're getting a McNeese team that has the aura. It's all about the aura. While we're hearing this word aura over and over and over again, we're seeing the shot of the manager leading them out, and they got the boom box and the NIL deals, and there's aura. And before the first media timeout, every Purdue player on the floor had scored and assisted a bucket, I think. Every single one of them. It was over like almost immediately. The Purdue's first possession, Trey Kaufman-Renn, is posting up, not on the block, not on the first hash. He's posting up on the second hash. The guy's on the top side of him. He seals him off. They throw it into him. He just lays it in. And I was like, all right, well, this McNeese defense that shut down Clemson obviously it didn't show up today. Wally Zerbiak's flaming him in the halftime.
He was.
Looks like they practiced their walkout more than they practiced their defense, going in on him. Anyway, as all this is going on, Cody's texting me, and he's getting in on the action. I was like, Cody, save it for the show. Write some roast jokes. You'll read them on the show tonight. So we got that coming a little bit later. Before we get to that, should probably talk about this Michigan team. Down 10 against Texas A&M. And then the script is the script with this team. They just don't quit. Roddy Gale just wants me to kill myself. I think that's what's going on. Roddy Gale, former Buckeye, who has been, I wouldn't even say up and down for Michigan this year, has been just mostly down.
Michigan fans
just mostly down.
To be clear, they paid him a good amount of money. He transferred from Ohio State to Michigan. He then lost his spot in the starting lineup. He's lost a couple games down the stretch where he hasn't played well. And then he came out tonight and he said, Mark Titus, I'm going to go for 26 points, 8 for 8 from the line, shoot 4 of 6 from 3, play 30 minutes, and I'm just going to go single-handedly beat Texas A&M and move on.
I thought the Ohio State fan in me was already dead this year. But the combination of John Calipari, who was rumored to be in the mix for the Ohio State job, which was he really? Dusty May, same thing. That the Ohio State fans that hate Diebler are like, why don't we hire Dusty May? And it's like, maybe because Dusty May didn't want to come to Ohio State. Maybe because have you thought about that? Have you guys thought about that? Have you thought about like we're paying a buyout for Chris Holtmann and we can't afford John Calipari even if we wanted him? Which, by the way, I still wouldn't have wanted John Calipari. But as a guy who was like already dead, watching John Calipari clinch a spot in the Sweet 16 and then Dusty May clinch a spot in the Sweet 16 thanks to Roddy Gale's 27. Do you have 27 points?
26, yeah.
26 points. They pulled up my dead body and then just pooped on it and threw it back in my
Felix Akpar is in this.
And Felix Akpar also.
Just in case you missed that one.
But Roddy Gale hasn't scored 15 points in a game for Michigan since January 12th against Washington, who's the worst team in the Big Ten. That was the last time he scored 15, and tonight he almost doubled that against Texas A&M.
Give credit where credit's due, Mark.
I know, that's what I'm going to do. Michigan is lucky as fuck, but...
Well said. That's exactly right.
Just move on. They're lucky as fuck, but I think at a certain point, and I've kind of already got there with them, like, being lucky this many times means you're just not lucky. This is just who you are. Like, you find a way to win these games. But having said all that, if this was the first time you've watched a Michigan basketball game, I imagine watching Trey Donaldson with the shot clock winding down, going one-on-one for like 20 straight seconds, not being able to beat his defender at all, just kind of going nowhere, getting walled up left and right, and then finally just throwing it up from his hip at the buzzer and it going in, only for Texas A&M's ensuing possession to get their best player, a guy whose jersey they put in the rafters when his career wasn't even over, gets a wide-open three, and 99.9% of that ball is down, and then it pops out. I don't know how you don't believe it's luck, but then at the same time, if you've been watching Michigan all year, this has been happening all season. So I think this team just has a horseshoe up their ass, and this is just what Michigan basketball is, huh?
Let's call it what it is. I mean, listen, I'll be complimentary. They have two huge guys. Vlad Golden rebounds the shit out of the basketball. I think Donaldson has been the key to their turnaround. I don't understand what the turnaround came from, though, because all year it was like, hey, they're playing close games, they're getting lucky, they start to lose down the stretch, they get their butts kicked against Michigan State at home. Vlad Golden proposes afterwards. And then down the final 3 games, they get smoked by Illinois, They get beat by Maryland. They get absolutely embarrassed by Michigan State. You think that they are reeling. They're fighting on the court during the free throw thing. It's like, okay, this is the Michigan that we've all been waiting to see. Water's finding its level. Mark, since that moment, Big Ten tournament champions. They draw UC San Diego, which was supposedly the hottest 12 seed that they were supposed to play. They beat them, and then they get a matchup today against what I thought was going to be a physical Texas A&M team that would bully Michigan. They come back from 10 down to beat them by 12.
Yeah, and the other than just saying they're lucky, which is, reducing it to the supernatural, Michigan really did rebound the ball very, very well. Like, that's the thing that I point to in this game. Roddy Gale exploding out of nowhere probably gets all the headlines, but the thing that stood out to me was you have a Texas A&M team that just crushes teams on the boards, and Michigan was grabbing everything, it felt like, or at least limiting the impact that Texas A&M has when they typically look good. Texas A&M is just grabbing every single rebound, and they just weren't doing that tonight. And even though they're up 10, Michigan doesn't quit. So kudos to them going on to the Sweet 16 to play Auburn, who struggled a little bit. Creighton had gave him a little bit. It was a good game. Too much firepower from Auburn down the stretch. I think Creighton just didn't have.
Creighton led at the half.
But Creighton led at the half and made it a fun, exciting game and did not give me a definitive answer on Auburn either way. That's the most frustrating thing. It's like I circled this game as like I'll know for sure whether Auburn is for real or fraudulent after today. And it wasn't even just based on whether they win or lose. I was like, if they win, they're gonna come out and just put their balls on the table and be like, we are Auburn. We are better than all of you. We're the number one overall seed in this tournament for a reason. And if they don't do that and it's a close game, I'm going to walk away disappointed and just be like, oh, Auburn's just a fraud and they're destined to lose. I landed in the middle, Tate. I landed in the middle. They didn't play particularly well by their standards, but at the same time, they have so many weapons and so much firepower and so many ways to beat you that this is a great example of why it's going to be so hard to put them away, is because Creighton was playing pretty well.
They shot the shit out of ball early.
Yeah, and it just wasn't enough, and it didn't even come down to the wire or anything. Like Auburn just kind of handled him in the end. So.
I just keep going back to what we've said all year with Tahad Pettiford. Dude's coming off the bench. Who brings someone off the bench and goes for 20? I mean, Michigan did it today, I guess. Yeah. But point being, it was a big game when Pettiford goes for 20+.
Yeah.
I really don't think that – like, Janai Broome didn't play great. They didn't have – Chad Bagmazzara played well. They didn't play great across the board. They won the game by 12, and they got their sixth man coming in for 20+ points.
I love Tahad Pettiford so much. I love him so much. One last thing I want to talk about before we get to the Cody roast. Tennessee, nice win over UCLA. Tennessee, UCLA was playing pretty well there for a little bit, and Tennessee's offense. We keep talking about Tennessee and do they have the offensive firepower and all that? They're playing pretty well, man.
Mark, it's the same thing we talked about.
Well.
They are playing pretty well, but it's the same thing that we talked about all year, which is if Chaz Lanier is going to drop 20 and Zakai Ziegler is going to drop 15, then the offense does look well.
11 for 22 from 3 tonight.
No qualm here.
It's a very good UCLA defense.
No qualm at all. I'm just.
So I don't. Yeah.
It's just it, and I've become quite the Tennessee believer. But yes, it is. If Zakai Ziegler and Chaz Lanier are not scoring, do they have the offense to do it?
It can just disappear. And that's the concern. And you hope it doesn't. I hope for. I realized tonight that I've turned into bad comparison. So don't freak out when I say. But I'm going to compare myself to Peyton Manning, and it's not for any.
You're
it's
comparing
not for talent
yourself?
or skill or charisma or anything else. It is because you watch the Peyton Manning broadcast when he's like doing the Monday Night Football thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize like he's not really cheering for one team or another. He's just cheering for like good football, and he just wants to see like good quarterback play. I realize that's kind of what I do with the NCAA tournament because my team's never going to make it again. I just watch these games, and I generally just – that's kind of why I've fallen in love with Duke, to be completely honest with you. As a guy that's hated Duke forever, I think this Duke team just plays sexy basketball, and I just love watching it. And anyway, I say all that to say that like Tennessee, when they are hitting shots – I want to see Tennessee go all the way. I'm like, this team is so fun. This team is so good. So many weapons. It's just, in the back of your mind, you're like, there might be a night where they just go cold, and that's that. But yeah, the last thing I wanted to say quickly, Texas Tech, very impressive that they shot 4,000 threes in their opening round game. And then today they dominated the paint against Drake, and you know it demonstrates that they can beat you two different ways, and JT Toppin certainly helps with that. But the guards can get downhill, get to the rim. I love this Texas Tech team. I think they're very, very hard to guard. And I came away, by the way, McCollum's going to Iowa, right? They hired him. I'm very impressed with that guy and his program, and I wish I would have paid closer attention. I knew Drake was good all season, but like let's be honest, like I'm not figuring out how to watch Missouri Valley games in the regular season. I wish I could, and I wish I would have, because I was very impressed with Drake. Bennett Sturts in particular, that kid was awesome. Love him. Would love to scoop him in the portal. Can we get on that, Buckeyes? Can we get this Bennett Sturts kid? He's fucking awesome. I know he's going to go to Iowa with his coach and then torch us. But yeah, I loved him. Shout out Pharrell Payne of Texas A&M, who was a monster in both games Texas A&M played. He was really, really fun to watch. Tanji also had a big game. Shout out to those guys who were all played great in losing efforts. But Bennett Sturts was great, and I'm fired up about this Texas Tech team. I think I'm trying to make sure I'm out of thoughts so we can just end the show with Cody.
I'm down with Cody. I want to clarify. It's not done deal McCollum to Iowa.
Oh, it's not?
People are saying that heard it through the grapevine, but I don't believe it was officially reported anywhere.
And one other thought I just had. It's starting to hit me. I said this to you while we were watching, but I'm actually starting to like conceptualize that there are seniors in this sport again. I'm starting to. I watched Wade Taylor and Ryan Kalkbrenner's careers come to a close, and I was like, oh, they're actually out of eligibility now, and it's a joke, and everybody jokes that these guys are going to play forever. And there for a while, like I just completely lost track of like. They say this is a senior, but then, you find out that he has an extra year somehow, or extra 2 years. Chad Baker-Mazara, people are saying, has another year of eligibility. I have no idea if it's true or not, or how it could possibly be true.
I think you can always find a year.
You can always just find an extra year. So getting that feeling of like, oh, shit, that's the last I'm going to see of Wade Taylor. That's the last I'm going to see of Ryan Kalkbrenner. That's the last we're going to see of Hunter Dickinson. Whether you think these guys are awesome or not, or R.J. Davis, same thing with Carolina. Whether you think they're like the greatest players in the world or not, or they're overrated or anything else, it is crazy that you've had this run of guys that are playing 5, 6, whatever years, and their careers are coming to an end. And it's like, yeah, that's how college basketball works. But for the last however many years, it's not how it works. You see teams lose, and then you're like, I don't know, is Hunter Dickinson going to come back next year? Who the hell knows? What is eligibility limits anymore? What are, I should say, eligibility limits anymore? So yeah, I had shout out to Kalkbrenner and Wade Taylor specifically, because those two guys, it hit me today that we're losing them in the sport, and I was like, oh yeah, those guys were awesome. I'm gonna miss them both. We're
losing them, but I am excited. It seems like there's been news coming out of who's gotten a COVID-19 thing. I mean, that was so long ago. EK from Gonzaga, they're saying, has another year. Braden Smith.
Graham EK can come back?
Oh yeah, he can come back. Braden Smith will be back next year.
Well, Braden Smith's at least a junior.
Right. I'm just saying names
the guys
are
coming back. Yeah.
And then they're reporting that there is a real possibility, if RJ Lewis doesn't get a first-round grade out of St. John's, that your Big East Player of the Year will be back next year as well.
Do you think Rick Pitino sabotaged RJ Lewis tonight just so he'd come back next year? Something to think about.
Something to think
about. Fired up about the games tomorrow. Going to be awesome. I only need to preview them. They're all awesome. Every single one of them. Mm-hmm. I want to make love to all of them. I can't wait for tomorrow. It's going to be so much fun. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Before we go, though, without further ado, Cody, are you ready? Are you ready for this?
Not really. I'll be honest.
I want you to do like a dunk contest scorecard, 8, 6.
The floor is yours. Cody is going to now roast I don't know, McNeese. This is a McNeese roast. McNeese, their dream run ended after 2 games.
Can I say
Got
something on that real quick?
All right, go ahead.
At least when Sister Jean did it, they made it to the
Final
Four. Why are we trying to replicate? Like every year, there's got to be
I think there was such a lack of madness in the first round that the powers that be at CBS and elsewhere were desperate for characters that popped up out of nowhere.
Right.
So they just latched onto this kid and shoved him down our throats and said aura 10,000 times, and then McNeese got blown out.
Am I going to get canceled if I say that kid sucks? Because if I'm gonna, then I'm not going to say it.
Don't say it. I think you might, so don't say it.
Okay, I'm not going to say it, but I will
cut
say
that part before
you should have to make it to the Sweet 16 to become.
You can't be a March hero unless you make it to the Sweet 16.
They won 1 game, and it was like the first game of the tournament.
And they almost blew it. All right, so Cody, you're 10. McNeese.
There's like 3, but yeah.
Cody, shut the fuck up and roast McNeese. Go.
All right. I was watching the first half of that game. I was wondering about the coaching. I was like, hey, McNeese, are you going to score anytime soon? We'll wait. We'll wait.
Yeah.
We'll wait. We'll wait. All right.
we'll move
Okay.
on,
All right.
move
All
on,
right.
move on.
Moving on. Tough crowd.
Yeah, tough crowd. Usually a lawyer is the one fighting for you on the court. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Finish it.
They're fighting for you in court, not fighting you on the court.
There was that's a Fletcher.
Yeah, it was a Fletcher. I thought there was more to it. He kind of just stopped.
You absolutely had something with that. But
Yeah, you had something. You just couldn't find it. But go ahead.
Usually a lawyer is the one fighting for you on the court. All right, we'll move
Off
on.
the court. In the court.
In the court.
Yeah, we're having fun.
No.
Um,
I'm having fun.
this is so stupid. Why'd you make me do this?
I gave you all day to write these.
Yeah, you're right. In and Out was the name of the song that they played in that viral video, which is also exactly what they did in the tournament.
That's pretty good.
All right.
I like that one. We're getting closer.
Okay, Cody, can I give you a tip? That actually was your best one.
Thanks, man.
You keep finishing the joke for us. We have to get the joke.
Yeah.
Like when you say that's what they did in the tournament, we started to laugh, and then you're like, get it in and out.
Yeah,
we did. That was a
All
joke.
right, yeah.
That was good.
I didn't have much time to
Let
do
it
it.
sit for a
That
second.
was good.
Let it sit. Go ahead.
All right. More like cannot win a second tournament game.
Oh, Amir Khan?
It's his last name.
Yeah, Amir cannot win a second round game. I like that. Okay.
Guess
This is
they
good
needed
shit,
a
man.
bigger boom box.
Oh.
This is so dumb. McNeese had a mirror, but they needed a miracle.
Oh.
Okay.
You know what they say. Aura doesn't win you basketball games.
Is that it?
Finish it.
Is that it?
Finish this
Hold
one.
on, that one wasn't even a joke. He just kind of like said it with like a sassy voice. He's like, you know what they say. Like if you say that straight lace, that's not even. You know what they say. Tate, Aura doesn't win you basketball games.
I didn't have time. I didn't have time. This is all we're working with.
The joke was him going, Aura doesn't win you
We
basketball.
could probably wrap
He's like Dan Landing. Clicks don't. They're playing for clicks.
Cody.
Yeah.
What happened?
In this game, there were no pros for McNeese. It was all Amir Khan.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that. That was good. Amir, MERE.
C-O-N. Right.
Good.
I like that. That was good. That was
Cody.
good wordplay.
All right, we'll end it
Cody.
there.
That was
We'll
good.
end it there.
Yeah, you know that one.
Good, Cody.
Yeah.
W
You know
Cody.
that one.
W
Can
Cody.
we get some W Cody
wanna-
in the chat,
yeah.
please?
Please.
For the love of God.
You want redemption tomorrow?
I do
Yeah,
like
I
giving
think
him an
it's tough
assignment.
to do just one thing.
How?
Get the whole slate.
Dude, I thought it was the first game. I texted you at before noon, before you even
I
had lunch.
so
I was
much
like,
shit to do, and I did it. I did my shit. Mark, you say something, I do it. Tomorrow we'll redeem ourselves.
Can we do? Can we give him this assignment?
yeah.
I want a roast tomorrow, or I want the one-liners. Give him the whole day to give him the slate.
The
Say
whole
from
slate.
the slate.
The whole slate. Anybody that loses, anybody that makes a fool of themselves in any way, shape, or form tomorrow is
Got
free
you.
game. All right?
Yeah.
You handle that?
Yeah. Can we get some positive vibes?
Positive vibes. All right.
Really good. Really good.
Good shit.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Day 4. The Sweet 16 will be set by this time tomorrow night. We'll be back live after all the action. We'll see you guys then.
All right.